Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is a GW Tiger. It's the Tier 9 German SPG. It's located on the northeast spawn of Live Oaks and it's under the command of ukbatole of the Newbie clan. Now the GW Tiger is, well, it's erroneously described as the Arty version of the Tiger tank, but it's not actually the Tiger Mark 1, it's the Tiger Mark 2, otherwise known as the King Tiger or Königstiger. That's the Panzerkampfwagen Mark 6 Ausrüstung B. Well, you can see that ukbatole is taking it off into the railway yard. Oh, that's unfortunate. Yep, ran into a Centurion Action 10, rather busy to get down to the railway line. Now he's mounting the 21cm gun. How do I know that? Well, there's no muzzle brake. If there was a muzzle brake, he'd have the 17cm gun. As you can see there, 21cm, 1100 alpha, 53mm of penetration and a 12m burst radius, and he's not carrying any premium ammo, but that would have a 13.2m radius if he did. He's gone straight into the aim and he's looking straight away down the railway line towards this enemy. Two enemies together, and he damages both of them with that first shot. Now, as it's a 21cm gun, it is rather long to reload. Normally it's about 38 seconds on the reload. This time it's 33.37, and that's because ukbatole does have very good crew, a rammer, and he's using premium consumables to speed up the reload time. And as you can see, several of the enemy tanks are all bunching together, and that's when premium ammo would really be useful. He's ready to shoot, just lining up the next target. I think he's decided this standard B and the E50M are a nice target, and they're bunching together. Well, the E50M took some splash damage there, 149, but the standard B managed to get out of the way before the shell arrived. Now you can see what ukbatole is doing is he's actually moving after each shot to avoid counter battery. If the enemy Arty were looking in this direction, they might see the tracer from his Arty as it leaves the gun, and that would give them an idea where to aim. But he's actually being very crafty. He's moving about so that even if they did fire at the spot where they thought he was, he wouldn't be there anymore. So he's got a TVP T5051 spotted in that area, but he's going for the Objects 777 version 2. Fires his round in. Unfortunately, all he gets is stun. And it looks to me like he's decided that, well, he needs to retreat a little further because the enemy's getting quite a bit close. As they say, discretion is the better part of valor. Sometimes it's a better idea to retreat, move away, and that way at least you can survive to fight another day. Well, in this game, actually it pays to relocate to avoid getting hit by the enemy. But the problem he's got at the moment is that he can't fire very far with that house in the way, because you have to raise your gun above the house to shoot, and unfortunately he can only hit the targets that are much further away, so he's had to go around the house and he's now headed towards the town centre. And the reason for that, well, they've captured the town centre, which means he's fairly safe from the enemy there, and the enemy are getting closer and closer along the railway line. Okay, enemy heavy on the way up. It was the Object 777. There's a T54. He's taken a bit of a pounding. Rounds out. Well, he hit him for 265 from splash. And the kill came in from the Object 430U on our team. He took out the T54. So he's gone. There's a T5051 on this side of the railway line. And unfortunately our teammates aren't firing at him at the moment because, well, they can't see him because he's over the other side of the embankment. But ukbatole has decided to go after that Object 777. He's down in the dip next to the water, which makes it a very difficult shot. He's dialing in. If the guy moves forward, rounds out. Only 57 hit points of damage though. Now you don't get a whole lot of ammunition in this Arty, so you have to make the best use of it. Mind you, given the amount of the reload time, yes, you do have to make sure your shells do count every time you shoot. Okay, he's lining up a shot on the 777, trying to hit the Emil 2 at the same time. Rounds out. Oh, he did! He got double bubble there. He hit the object 777-2 for 85 hit points, but he got 222 off the Emil 2. He's moving further and further away from them. But of course they are getting very close to our teammates in the railway yard, and our teammates are taking a bit of damage. Okay, he's lining up the shot on the object 777. But changes his aim just temporarily to go after the Emil. Lines up the shot. Rounds out. Oh, beautiful shot. Takes the Emil 2 out of the game. He's back in the garage. The 777 goes down. And that means now he can move back to the railway yard. But there is still a 60 TP somewhere about. And so he needs to watch out for that. In fact, there's also a standard B. There's the 60 TP. It's been located. It's not too far away, actually. Now, he's using the Starry Night camo, which obviously was given free of charge by Wargaming. It was the Vincent van Gogh painting. And a couple of enemy tanks have made it into the town. Object 430U and an Object 140, and unfortunately they just killed our 257 in the town. In fact, actually it was a Jaegeru that killed him. The Jaegeru's outside the town. The scores are even at the moment, which means obviously it's anybody's game, but ukbatole's had to move back towards the railway yard for safety. Now he is loaded, but he's just waiting for a good target to fire at. The other problem he's got now is, of course, in the railway yard you've got that water tower there, which does tend to get in the way if you're trying to shoot in that direction. Okay, we've got an Object 430U. Can he get a shot on this target? Lines it up, dials in. Got a bit of reticule bloom there. Yep, that's the hit. 420, and I think that was a direct hit as well, and it tracked the 430U. The enemy just lost their Object 140, but we also lost our E75, and the scores are still even. There's only 6 tanks left on both sides, but our side does have the more mobile tanks. The enemy team's got 2 heavy tanks, an M103 and an E75. Okay, this is a tier 10 game, by the way, and tier 10 games obviously mean that you've got a higher standard of player. Well, generally it means there's a higher standard of player. There's no guarantee. Okay, for safety's sake at the moment he's using these buildings to provide himself with a bit of cover just in case the enemy tries to fire in this direction. And the M103 on the enemy team, the heavy tank, is actually coming in this direction. That's a tier 9 American heavy. Lining him up. Rounds out. Direct hit. There was no explosion, so you saw the tracer from the Arty shell merge with the target, and there was no explosion, so we know that he hit him. The M103 was unsighted at the moment that the shell hit him, so that's why there was no explosion. Couldn't see it. Okay, an Object 430 as well, getting close. The M103, oh, he was badly damaged. In fact, now he is a splash kill, and he's getting very, very close, but he's taken out by our TVP 5051. So we do have an advantage now of just one tank, but that could provide enough to actually get the win. There's the 430U. ukbatole dialing in, rounds out. Oh, good hit! Right into the side of that 430U. He didn't like that one at all. And our teammates are asking for fire on that target. Now we are massively down on hit points at the moment. The enemy does have a strong advantage. We've only got 2,300. They've got 6,500. And there goes our TVP. But we've still got an advantage over them. They lost their Arty. Our standard B and Object 430 down in the south managed to find the enemy Arty and take him out of the equation. That means ukbatole doesn't have to hide anymore. He could just stay exactly where he is to shoot at the enemy, but he just needs to move to get good lines of sight on the enemy. Under these circumstances, the best place for him to move would be south, actually, to move away from the cap area and let the enemy make their way towards the cap so he could hit them. But he's actually aiming over onto the west side of the map, and we're hoping the Object 430U and the Standard B will be able to find out where that E75, Striv 1030 and Jagdtiger are located. He's only got 4 rounds left, so he needs to make sure that these rounds count. It's a 2.8 second flight time from where he is at the moment to hitting that particular target. And he's found one of them. There's the Object 430. In fact, the Object 430U, the tier 10 Soviet medium, but he's actually going to go after the Jagdtiger, who has more hit points. Lines up the shots. Works out where he's going. Rounds out, fires blind. And he hits the target square on. Again, no explosion, but oh, look at the amount of damage he did. It's dropped by a considerable amount. His hit points are now down to just over 53%. And they're still dropping. You can see that he's destroying some of the scenery as he's moving through. You can see that on the overhead. There's the Jagdtiger. And now he's a one-shot if he can get a shot on target. Lining it up. Needs to get a direct hit to make it count. But he's actually getting much, much closer. Lines it up. We just lost another tank, but oh, well, it splashed in front of the Jagdtiger, but it still made him a one-shot, so he's not going to be able to survive for very long. And in fact, the enemy now has only 946 hit points between them, whereas we've got 1,800. So a lot of that is all down to ukbatole hitting the enemy hard and stripping them of their hit points to enable our teammates to take the kills. And he's now decided that yes, it is better for him to move a little further south to use the fold in the ground to hit the enemy, because there's an E75 not far off. Well, that's the 2-minute siren. Means there's only 2 minutes left in the game. He needs to ensure that the last 2 rounds he's got count. There's the E75. Now he's got more than necessary for the one shot. Rounds out. Direct hit. 443. But now he's loading his last round. The E75 is now a one shot for our Jagdtiger. Our standard B is capping in the south, but it looks like he's left the cap and he's coming north to try and kill this E75, who's the last member of the enemy team still alive. Everyone else has been wiped out. Unfortunately, he kills the Jagdtiger, but ukbatole is going to use his last round to try and take this guy out. Rounds out. Kill shot wins the game. Oh, brilliant shot by ukbatole there. Takes out the last enemy with his last round of ammunition, and that means he will be getting a medal for that one. And let's have a look at the second of the 3 replays we've got in this video. The second replay features Oldcook of W-UNI And yes, he's in the GW Tiger on Redshire.
Let's go.
Okay, game started. Now he's also got the 21cm gun, as you can see, no muzzle brake again, which says that yes, it's definitely the 21cm, 1100 alpha and 53mm of penetration. And he's immediately gone into the aim because he's looking for the enemy Arty, and I think he can see that yes, potentially there is an enemy Arty up there because there's a break in the stone wall, and that's a true sign that one of the enemy Artys has moved to the west and is actually somewhere located behind those rocks. That's right at the edge of the map. Normally, if you look for that, when you first enter the game on Redshire, if you're in the south spawn, you look for those gaps in the walls, and that means an Arty's moved into that area. So if he looks long enough, he might see the tracer from the enemy Arty in that region. In fact, he's gone to the overhead mode to see if he can see the tracer from the Arty if they're in that copse. But you can see those little break in the wall there? Just there? Which means there's an enemy Arty somewhere in that area. He's looking for the tracer, but instead he's actually been attracted by a Bisonte C45, the Italian premium heavy tank, the new one, the auto reloader, and he got a shot near him for 284 hit points, but it was only a splash. Now he's gone back to looking for that Bisonte. He's found him. There you go. He's getting close to the castle, but our guys are already in the castle, so I don't think he's going to be making it inside there. Now the reload time for Oldcook is 39.38 seconds. So he's not using a rammer and he's not using premium consumables, and that's why it's so long. As you saw in the previous game, it was only about 33 seconds for ukbatole. Okay, he gets some damage off that Pershing. He also damaged an Object 277 that was in there as well. Okay, changing position. Knocking trees down is normally discouraged because it actually does give away your position. It lets the enemy Arty know where you might be or where you've been, and so he can check and look for your tracer. But it looks like the enemy's broken through the Zeppelin area. They've just killed our 60 TP, and well, Oldcook is looking for a target, and I think he wants to get one of those tanks to basically run very short on hit points. Instead, he's aiming for the T95, the Doom Turtle. Lines up the shot. Well, hit the Doom Turtle. Oh my god, he killed two tanks by accident. He got a Bombardier. He killed the UDES and the Pershing with that shot. He couldn't even see them at the time. He was aiming for the T95, but the shell went over the top of the T95 and took out the two tanks who were sitting behind him. Well, I've seen some Bombardiers in my time, but that one was pretty unusual because he couldn't even see the tanks that he was actually aiming at when he got the Bombardier. So kind of an accidental Bombardier, you might say. Okay, still going for the T95, just lining up the shots. Don't worry about the straw bales, it'll go straight through them. A nice direct hit on the T95, but it only does 135 hit points because it hit the armour on the front of the vehicle, which is particularly strong. And the kill shot on that one goes to the Strip S1, who managed to get a 105mm round into the target. He's looking around again. TL1LPC. I always seem to get the name of that one wrong, but it's a premium tier 8 American medium. He's loaded. Now, rounds out straight away. Oh, and he gets him. Splashes him to death. So that's his third kill now. Ouch. Now, that is a problem. He's just spotted an Object 907 in the river, or next to the river bank. And he's very close. Now, Oldcook's looking around for a target to shoot at, but I'd be more worried about that 907 right now. He's so close that he could spot Oldcook if Oldcook fires. He's loaded. He's taking aim at that 907 with a blind shot. Oh, he's moved. He's close. He's very close. And he's coming this way. So he obviously did spot Oldcook. And yes, he takes one round. He's trying to get away, but I don't think he'll be able to. And that's the end of his game. So unfortunately, he didn't survive this game. And funnily enough, he's actually earned a spotter badge for spotting at least 1,000 hit points of damage on an enemy tank. But it looks like he's not going to be taking any part in this battle because he's back in the garage. Well, not yet at least, anyway. So we'll follow what actually happens. We can see the Striv gets taken out by the 907. We're now following the M48 Patton, who's up the other end of the map. At this moment, he's in those bushes watching the T110E4. He's got no shot on that tank. And despite the fact that the numbers are equal, Oldcook's team actually has more hit points. Much more. He's got 7,413 hit points, whereas the enemy team 3,971. So it does look as if the game is going in their favour. But of course, that's no guarantee that they will win. Here's that T110E4. Come back again. Of course, the M48 Patton's the tier 10 American medium. It's got a very strong turret, but fairly weak body. But a lovely 105mm gun, which is based on the British L7. Okay, down here we've got a Centurion 7.1. He's also got the 105mm gun. You can normally tell when you see the 105mm because it's got the fume extractor halfway along the barrel. Now they are capping to try and win, but they are losing tanks. They're now 2 tanks down on the enemy, and they've almost got about the same amount of hit points now, so it looks like the enemy's been reasonably successful. And the enemy's now capping at the other end. So this is not going well now. They've still got 2 in the cap. Oh, no, it's only 1 now. And the enemy cap is proceeding, and there's nobody down there to reset, so I'm afraid it looks like they are going to lose this one. Unless the M48 Patton makes its way south really quickly, I don't think there's any chance of them winning this game. Yep, the M48 Patton's decided he needs to head south, but he needs to do so on the reverse slope of this hill. Otherwise he will get shot at by the enemy team. And there's now 2 in the cap at the other end, and so yes, it's going to be impossible for them to get back in time. There's only 16 seconds to go, and as fast as they're dashing back to get the reset, the game's going to be over before they get there in time. So no, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1. And that's it, game's over. The Ras fires his gun in anger, but he can't get back in time, and the enemy has won. So this game was a loss, I'm afraid, but it did have that rather amazing bombardier by Oldcook. So let's have a look at the last of the 3 replays. And the third of our replays is a GW Tiger on the south spawn of Murovanka Encounter, and the player is Angelina75. Now again, she's got the 21cm gun, and we know that because there's no muzzle brake at the end. It's the same Tiger II hull, the Tiger Mark VI Ausführung B, which otherwise was known as the King Tiger or Königstiger. And of course her gun will do, well, in fact it's an howitzer, will do 1100 alpha, penetrating 53mm of armour, and with the standard rounds it'll do a burst radius of 12 meters, and with the premium rounds, and Angelina does have a couple, they'll do 13.2 meters, so a big increase in the footprint of the gun, and that makes a big difference, because if you've got enemy tanks bunching together, one shot might actually be able to hit more than one at the same time. Well, as you can see, a batch at 155.55 headed for the corner, and he disappeared into that bush. She's firing around at the bush just in case he's there. Oh my god! She got a blind kill with her first shot. The batch at 155.55 stopped in the bush, and she just wiped him out with one round. That was an amazing shot. She looked to see exactly where he was going. She saw the bush. She thought, yeah, he's probably going to that bush. That's where he's going to fire from. And she fired the round in and got her first kill of the game. An amazing kill. Now, this is an encounter game and it's all about the cap. And there's one enemy capping at the moment, but it takes twice as long to cap in an encounter than it does in other games. With standard games. So there's some enemy in the cap, but at the moment we can't spot them and can't see them. There's one of them. It's an IS-32 and the other one is a Carnarvon. Now she's trying to fire in at that IS-32. Fires around in. Oh, lovely one. Direct hit right in the face. You can see the shell actually hit the lower plate of that IS-32 because there's a hole right on the lower plate. So it hit the front of him, right on his weak spot. And looks like she got a reset as well. Now she's aiming for the T-95, the Doom Turtle. He's sitting outside the cap at the moment, trying to use those banks to keep in a hold down position while he's shooting. But it's not going to protect him from an Arty round. Rounds out. Direct hit, 450 hit points. Can't see the precise point where he was struck, but we know that he certainly took a lot of damage. And the Carnarvon has left the cap area and he's now just popped up on top of the ridge line to shoot. Now Angelina's using premium consumables and she's got a rammer, so her reload time is actually fairly short, like the reload time we saw for ukbatole in the first replay. Aiming for the Emil. Dialing in, let it settle. She's an accurate shooter. Rounds out. Oh, big hits. 542 hit points. The Emil's not happy. She's got about a reload time of about 32 seconds. I noticed that when she fired. So now we know the Doom Turtle's in the cap, as well as the IS-32. And they're about halfway through the cap process at this moment. She was just checking because there's an Object 416 on the enemy team. It's come all the way south. And there's the two enemy tanks and she's loaded. Rounds out. Oh, she killed the T-95 and reset the IS-32. So she's got an absolutely massive amount of defense points there for resetting the cap. Fantastic kill there. And all the others are saying rush the base, but at this moment, the enemy's actually come out of the cap area and they're now coming south. And it looks like, well, it looks like Angelina's in a lot of danger because these enemy tanks might try to get at her. All our team are over in the Magic Forest. She's lining up a shot in the 416 and she splashes him for 252 hit points, but I think you can be certain that that guy will come south and try and get Angelina now. And there's not a lot she can do about it because she's still in reload. 32.99 seconds and yeah, the 416 gets revenge. And Angelina's now out of the game, unfortunately. But I'm pretty sure that her teammates will now try to win the game because they do have a numerical advantage as well as the hit point advantage. There's 7,395 hit points on her team and only 3,933, thanks to Angelina, on the enemy team. So they are losing. Oh, no, that's suddenly changed. The number of hit points has dropped. And they're more about even now. Okay, we're following this T54E1 as he moves up. Oh, takes out the IS-32. Now, T54E1 is an autoloader. Now, the question is, will he be able to get these other enemy tanks? There's only 3 left on the enemy team. We're low on hit points now, actually. It's gone the other way. Only 1,849 on our team, 3,068 on the enemy team. And I have the feeling the T54E1 is in reload, and that's why he didn't move any further forward. He's sitting outside the cap area, and here comes the T95, the Doom Turtle. Now it looks like he's just reset the cap on the Scorpion, and the T54 is now hammering that Carnarvon, and he gets the kill. So they've reset the cap, and there's only 2 enemies left. The Scorpion and that Object 416, the one that killed Angelina. And he's wandering around down the south, and he just killed our IS-22. And I think the T54E1 wants him. T95's going to deal with that Scorpion. Unfortunately, the Scorpion deals with the T95 instead, and he's back in the garage. So it's now all down to the T54E1 to win the game for us. Now, he is a good player, we know that, because he's got a little blue star against his name, and that indicates he's one of the top players. But there's the 416. And he finishes off the 416, and now he just needs to reload and then deal with the Scorpion. And unfortunately, the Scorpion came forward whilst the T54 was not fully loaded. But both tanks do have a fairly long reload cycle because, well, it's about 12 seconds for the Scorpion to load. And although he's lost another load of hit points, he's now about to fire. And he will take out this Scorpion. He's locked on. He takes another round from the Scorpion, but this is going to be it. Oh, yes. Just takes 1 round to do the job, but he fires another one in for good measure anyway. And it's a victory for Angelina 75. And here's the end of battle stats for the first game with ukbatole on Live Oaks. He managed to get a first class tanker in that game. He got a Bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. He got 20. He got a Gauze medal for doing 8 times the hit points of his own vehicle in damage. I know it says 10 there, but that's wrong. It is 8 according to the wiki on World of Tanks. And remember, he got that last kill with his last round of ammunition, and that earned him a Faden's medal. You can only get this if you use up all your ammunition and kill the last enemy with that last round on to win the game. And on top of that, he got a Confederate medal as well, which means he hit more of the enemy than anyone else on his team. At least 6 tanks, which were subsequently taken out by other teammates. So let's have a look at the team score and see where he stood. Well, surprisingly, he actually didn't get the highest damage in the game. That went to the Jagdtiger on his team with 4,547 hit points. And ukbatole managed to get 4,050 hit points of damage, put him in second place. Third place was the TVP T5051 on the enemy team with 3,507 hit points. When it came to kills, it was the Prototypo Standard B on his own team, the TVP T5051 on his own team, and the E75 on the enemy team. All got 4 kills apiece. I'm afraid ukbatole only got the 2 kills in that game, but of course he did get that rather good medal. And when it came to base XP, yes, he's actually in 4th place because the Prototypo Standard B was ahead of him with 1,246. The TVP managed to get 1,095. The Jagdtiger managed to get 1,062. And just a short distance behind, ukbatole picked up 1,053. And only 4 tanks managed to get over 1,000 base in the game. ukbatole fired all 15 rounds of ammunition, got 5 direct hits, no penetrations but 16 splash, damage of 4,050 hit points, all of it at more than 300 meters. He damaged 9 of the enemy, killed 2, and did 705 hit points of stun assist off 14 stuns. On a premium count, he earned 29,387 credits from the game, and because he actually had a personal missions payout during that game as well, 11,060 XP experience points. So a particularly good game with a Faden's medal, which are fairly rare because obviously it means you have to use up all of your ammunition to get the last enemy tank. And yep, so they are rare medals for Arty. Let's have a look at the second replay. That was the one with Oldcook, and unfortunately it was a loss, but he did get that rather unusual bombardier where he couldn't see the targets he was actually hitting. He aimed at the T-95 on the enemy team and then took out the M26 Pershing and the UDES-16 who was sitting behind him with very low hit points. And when the shell went off, it took out both of them with one shot. So rather unusual bombardier to say the least. If we look at the team score in this one, we can see that he didn't get the highest damage, obviously. Unfortunately, the highest damage went to the T110E4 on the enemy team, 5,576. And the next high score after that was the Tortoise with 3,417, followed by the T30, who managed to get 3,221. Oldcook managed to get 1,202 hit points before he was taken out, but when it came to the number of kills, he actually shared the top spot with the Centurion 7-1, the T110E4 on the enemy team, and the Object 907 that killed him. They all got 3 kills each. When it came to base XP, it's the enemy team because they did win the game. 895 goes to the E4, 793 goes to the 907, 763 goes to the Object 277, and we can see that Oldcook managed to get 414 base XP from that game. He fired 5 rounds, got 1 direct hit, no penetrations but 9 splash. Damage of 1,202 hit points, all of it at more than 300 meters. He received 2 hits, both from the Object 907, and unfortunately it was fatal. 6 enemy vehicles were damaged, 3 were killed, and 1,444 hit points of damage assistance, plus 805 hit points of stun assist off 6 stuns. He earned 76,610 credits on a premium count, and he took away 621 base XP, or not base XP, but experience points from the game. So a nice accidental bombardier for Oldcook. But what was the last one? Well, that was Angelina 75 on the Murovanka map. Despite the fact that she got killed, she managed to get a third-class tanker in her second game. Just her second game in this new toy, as she says. And that's the first time she's had a third-class tanker. She managed to get a Bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. She got 11. And she got a Defender medal. She reset the cap enough times to get 70 defense points off the cap, and that earned her the Defender medal in the process. She got a win rate of 3,896, which is Super Unicum standard. And yes, she did a very good job in the game, but unfortunately she did get spotted and taken out by the enemy 416. When it came to the details at the end of the game, we can see that she didn't get the highest damage in the game. That actually went to the Scorpion G on the enemy team. 4,058 hit points of damage to him. And the next highest was the T-54E1, who won the game with 3,570 hit points. He managed to get a Top Gun for getting 6 kills. And the Centurion managed 3,350 hit points. But Angelina did fairly well because she came in with the 4th highest damage in the game, and she managed to get 2,805 hit points of damage from that one. When it came to kills, yes, the T-54E1 managed to get a Top Gun, 6 kills. 4 kills went to the Object 416, and of course that one of those was Angelina 75. 3 kills went to the Carnarvon and the T-95, and you can see there Angelina only got 2 kills in the game. But when it came to base XP, we can see that she managed to get 711, the top scorer being that T-54E1 with 1,144, and he was the only one who got over 1,000, but the T-95 wasn't too far behind him. So pretty good game for Angelina on the base XP, but about mid-table. 6 shots fired, 5 direct hits. She did get a penetration on one of those shots as well. 6 splash damages, 2,805 hit points, of which 2,553 were up more than 300 meters, so some fairly close shooting as well. Received 2 hits, both from the Object 4, well, one of them the Object 416, I think the other one was from one of the other enemy tanks that was close by. Both of them penetrated. I'm afraid that was the end of Angelina's game. She did hit 5 of the enemy, got 2 kills in the process, and 5 stuns, but no stun assist. She got 93 defense points, so she reset the cap enough times to get more than enough to cover for the Defender medal. On her account, she managed to get 38,236 credits on a premium count, and after XP, she managed to get 8,533 experience points. And of course, you remember, she got that first brilliant shot on the Batchat 155-55 right at the start of the game. In fact, she got a penetrating shot on him, 440 hit points. She wiped him out with 1 round right at the start, the first kill of the game. And well, it ended up being a rather good game for Angelina, even though it was only a second game in this tank, in this Arty. She did very, very well indeed, and she's getting even better every day. So watch out if you find her on the battlefield. So I hope you enjoyed those replays. If you did, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our accounts on both YouTube and Rumble. And do leave a comment down below because it feeds the YouTube and the Rumble algorithm. And thank you for watching.